ever really looked at a plant and wondered what's going on deep inside? I mean, past the petals and leaves, there's this hidden world, a whole architectural plan that dictates exactly how that plant is built from the ground up. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and unlock that very blueprint. Okay, let's dive right in. Picture a simple blade of grass, and then picture a big, complex rose bush. On the outside, yeah, they're obviously different. But what's really fascinating is that on the inside, they're following two completely different sets of rules. It's like they were designed by two totally different architects. So what are those rules, and how do they create so much diversity? Well, the answer comes down to two master plans that pretty much all flowering plants use. They're called monocots and dicots. You can think of them as the two major schools of thought in plant architecture. And if you get a handle on these two, you're well on your way to understanding how the whole plant kingdom works. But before we can compare the finished buildings, we've got to understand the building materials, right? The bricks and mortar. Turns out, all plants, whether they're a monocot or a dicot, are built using the same three basic tissue systems. So let's get to know the toolkit. And honestly, it's way simpler than it sounds. First, you've got the epidermal system. That's basically the plant's skin. Then there's the ground system, which is all the filling on the inside. And finally, the vascular system. That's the plumbing that moves all the water and food around. Skin, filling, and plumbing. Seriously, that's the whole shebang. So the epidermal system, the skin, is the plant's first line of defense. It's this outer layer that protects it from the world. But it's not just a simple wall. It's dotted with these tiny, crucial pores called stomata. They're like little mouths that can open and close to let the plant breathe and control water loss. It's a really smart, interactive barrier. Next up is the ground system. This is the stuffing. It makes up the bulk of the plant's body, and it's the real workhorse. It's responsible for things like support, storage, and, the most important job on the planet, photosynthesis. And that magical process happens in a part of the ground tissue in the leaves called the mesophyll. And finally, we get to the plumbing, the vascular system. Think of this as the plant's internal highway network. It's made of these bundles of two types of pipes. You've got xylem, which brings water up from the roots, and then you've got phloem, which is like the delivery service, taking all that sugary food made during photosynthesis and distributing it wherever it's needed. Okay, pay attention, because this is the most important part. The crucial difference between our two blueprints all comes down to how this plumbing is arranged. In dicots, the vascular bundles are open. They have this special layer called cambium that lets the plant grow wider every year. Think of how a tree trunk gets thicker. Monocots, on the other hand, have closed bundles, no cambium. That means they can get tall, but they can't get wider. This one detail changes absolutely everything. So let's start our investigation with that first blueprint. We're going to look inside a dicot. These are your roses, your oak trees, your sunflowers. Let's see how they put those building blocks together. If you slice open a dicot root, the first thing you'll notice is how incredibly organized it is. The xylem, those water pipes, forms this really distinct star shape right there in the middle. And the very center, the pith, is either tiny or just not there at all. It's a really compact, strong design that's perfectly set up for that secondary growth we just talked about. Now, if we move up to the stem, that organized nature of the dicot really shines. The vascular bundles, the plumbing, are arranged in this perfect, neat ring, kind of like a pearl necklace. And since those bundles are open and have cambium, this stem can get thicker and stronger over time. It's just a very structured and expandable design. And the dicot leaf keeps this theme of specialization going. The veins branch out in this web-like pattern, but inside is where it gets really cool. The mesophyll tissue is split into two specialized layers, a tightly packed palisade layer on top, designed to soak up as much sun as possible, and a spongy layer below with lots of air spaces for gases to move around. It's basically a highly efficient, perfectly engineered solar panel. Okay, so we've seen the very orderly world of the dicots. Now let's flip the script completely and look at the monocots. We're talking grasses, corn, lilies, palm trees. How do they handle all the same life functions, but with a totally different design? Looking at the monocot root, you immediately see a different game plan. Instead of that little star shape with just a few xylem bundles, monocots have a whole bunch of them, usually more than 6, arranged in a circle around a big, well-developed pith in the center. It's a great design for soaking up water, but remember, no cambium means no secondary growth. And the monocot stem. This is probably the most dramatic contrast. You can just forget about that neat pearl necklace from the Dicot. Here, the vascular bundles are just scattered all throughout the ground tissue, like sprinkles on a cupcake. There's no clear organization, no distinct pith in the middle. And of course, those bundles are closed, so there's no way for the stem to grow wider. In the monocot leaf, you see those classic parallel veins you'd find on a blade of grass. And on the inside, things are simpler. The mesophyll is just one uniform layer, not that specialized two-layer system the Dicot has. And because these leaves often grow straight up, they tend to have stomata on both the top and the bottom surfaces to maximize gas exchange from all directions. A different design, but just as effective. So there we have it. We've investigated both blueprints. We've seen the Dicot's orderly ring and the Monocot's scattered sprinkles. Now it's time to put all the clues together and lay out the final comparison side by side. All right, this is your ultimate takeaway guide. This table puts it all together. The organized ring in the Dicot stem versus the scattered bundles in the Monocot. The all-important presence of cambium in dicots, which lets them grow wider. The completely different root structures. This right here, this is the secret code that explains why a massive oak tree and a simple blade of grass are so fundamentally different on the inside. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? That a single design choice from millions of years ago, do we arrange the plumbing in a ring or do we scatter it, could lead to two entirely different evolutionary paths. It really makes you wonder. If this is the level of hidden detail in common flowering plants, what other incredible architectural wonders are just waiting to be discovered in the rest of the plant kingdom?